In this video, we're going to look at creating a test in INERTIA 2011. I'm going to use the shipping example and go into the test editor. Once in the test editor, we can create a new test profile, selecting new. Then we can select basically which control objects that are defined in our system that we want to put in the test. In this example, I'll put both the input motor and the load motor. Now for the test, basically each control object has an initial starting control mode. Are they going to start in speed, or in this case torque? And for here, I'm going to select speed for my input motor and torque for my output motor. Now basically what I want to do is drag various steps from this window over into the particular control objects that I want to add the step to. For instance, let's ramp up speed here. Let me double click this, say I want to go to 1000 RPM, and I can specify, say, RPMs per second or a fixed duration. Let's just say I want to do this in 5 seconds. For a lot of the different step types, there's additional options. Like I could do a ramp until, in this case, which would stop my ramp if another, say, a variable became greater than or less than some value I specify. I can also specify variable parameter types or local variable parameter types, which means I could then link, say, my RPM endpoint to some variable in the system. So if I wanted to, I could link it to some user variable I put in, a calculation I put in. In this case, I'm just going to choose a constant 1000 RPM and hit OK. On the torque side, what I'm going to do is just wait 5 seconds. And then at that point, I could choose to do a point playback. And the point playback, basically I can just type in values. If I want to go from 0 foot-pounds, I want to go to 200 foot-pounds, 300 foot-pounds. I can look at those data points that's going to put out. I can choose to interpolate those if I want to, or it produces a straight line between points. And basically to build my test profile, I can continue dragging and dropping steps over. So here, if I wanted to dwell for a couple seconds, and then on my speed, if I wanted to do a waveform, do a sinusoidal frequency, let's vary speed 100 RPM around 1000. And do 10 cycles of that at 1 hertz. Hit OK. And at this point, I am going to rendezvous. So I'll create a new rendezvous point, which means I'll call it end. And then I'll link this one to end. Okay. So that means that both of these will wait until both have actually gotten to this particular step. Because I'm not sure, in this case, I would have to count out how long this sine wave is going to last, put the appropriate dwell in there, and the rendezvous is just a very easy way to basically synchronize those two loops. So basically now, at the end, I'll ramp down to 0 in 2 seconds, and over here I will do the same thing, ramp to 0 load in 2 seconds. So there's a basic test profile that I've created. If I wanted to, I can add comments in here. My comment, put those wherever I want in my test profile. I can also do in the test is I can modify alarm limits. Here basically I can select alarms I want to modify for this test. Let's say I want to do my input over speed and over torque. I can then double click on this and select a new value for that limit, and enabling or disabling that particular alarm for this test. I can also add data logging to this test. So I can hit add, create a new log file. I can call it my data. I can specify whatever logging rates are available. I mean, they're usually, well, they will be a multiple of my main control rate. So in this case, I think it's 50 hertz, so you can do 50 hertz, 25, and so on. And what the system will do is actually round whatever value you type in for seconds and produce a particular sample rate. So for now, let's just stick with 50. I'm going to specify just log all samples. If I wanted to, I could pick a trigger and specify a particular trigger to start and stop data logging. But in this case, I'll log them all. I can add channels to my log file. In this case, let's add our calculation. And let's add our set points here. And I could add as many different log files as I wanted to this particular test. You can use local variables in the test. For instance, if I wanted, say, X. Then if I wanted to, I could add, let's say, a for loop. I could just say pick a local variable, for X equals 1 to 10, and I'll just dwell in here for now. Dwell for tenths of a second. So now this little section of the test will simply wait for 1 second because it's going to loop 10 times. And let me remove that. I don't really want that. Let me save this as a junk test. And there we go. And that's basically a quick example of creating and editing tests in INERTIA 2011.